Green fields ruffled by the gentle breeze, the tinkling of cowbells, the mooing of cows, the courtyard smoothed down with cow dung. This is the picture that comes to mind when one thinks of the countryside. The villages reflect the true culture of our country, and they have the tradition of giving each object a rightful place and due honor, be the object big or small. Our villages have always upheld and honored the time-tested, eco-friendly ways, the very things the so-called cultured people frown upon. Nature has blessed living beings with some invaluable and useful things. These include water, air, soil, fire, and light. Cattle dung is one such thing. It should not be dismissed as animal feces. According to various Indian purificatory rites, the cow dung is indispensable. In general, cow dung acts as a nutritive, a purifier, as well as fights malodors. Because of these qualities, the cow dung is extremely useful to man. On close study, it has been found that cattle dung's beneficial qualities depend on the breed of the animal, its age, what fodder it eats, and what its routine is. The dung obtained from animals that are used in the fields is different from that of animals that are kept in the shed. Animals fed on proportionately more of fodder and less of oil cakes produce dung that has less nitrogen and fats but more of cellulose. As opposed to this, more oil cake in the diet produces dung rich in nitrogen and fat. Apart from this, there is extensive change in the dung of an animal from the time it is impregnated till it begins lactating. The young animal is able to digest 70% of its diet, but a milch cow can only digest 25% of what it consumes. The rest is excreted in the form of dung and urine. Generally, the dung contains some liquid and undigested grains. It is believed that these liquids have the property to destroy germs.
In Kenya, cattle dung is applied to young corn on the cob to save them from being eaten up by monkeys. In Nigeria as well as Kenya, dried cow dung is rubbed on animals to protect them from flies.
Several minerals like phosphorus, nitrogen, lime, potash, manganese, iron, silicon, aluminium, and sulfur are found in cattle dung in large amounts, whereas iodine, cobalt, molybdenum, and others are found in lesser amounts. It is the presence of these minerals that makes cattle dung an ideal fertilizer for soil. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash are the main requirements of a plant. These are found in percentages of 0.3 to 0.4, 0.1 to 0.15, and 0.15 to 0.2 respectively in cattle dung. This is why it is considered as an excellent manure. On coming in contact with soil, the various constituents of cattle dung act as a soil binder. However, if the soil particles come too close, then these very elements help to keep them apart, so that the soil can be aerated and thus allow the plant roots to breathe. In this way, cattle dung is a better alternative to chemical fertilizers to improve the quality of the soil. The soil becomes highly fertile with the combined effect of cattle dung and urine. The Agricultural Department of the Kasturba Gram Rural Institute at Indore has conducted a unique experiment to prove this. Here, cows are kept in a place where a layer of soil has been spread. This soil receives both cow dung and urine. After a few days, this soil is collected and scattered in the fields. This has resulted in increased production of crops.
So, we can see that two invaluable substances, that is the cow dung and urine, are available in different quantities. The cow dung is more in quantity than the urine. Both these have different purposes also. The cow dung provides valuable humus to the soil and improves the soil pH, whereas urine provides micronutrients, trace elements, vitalizers and vitamins which are so important for the plant growth. Another important thing is that the combination of both the cow dung and urine provides a complete nutrition to the plants.
It is possible to make up to 3 tons of excellent compost simply by adding 100 kg of cattle dung to organic waste material. 100 tons of manure can be obtained per year from the dung of an ordinary animal.
You will be surprised to learn that women of Western Himalayas prefer to hunt for firewood rather than burn dung cake. Since the soil of this region is not very fertile, cow dung is used here extensively to improve its quality.
Some time ago, Peter Proctor, an agriculture and animal scientist from New Zealand, visited India and undertook an astonishing experiment. He filled the horns of a dead cow with the dung of a milch cow and buried it in the soil before the advent of winter. 5 to 6 months later, it was dug up and placed in an airtight container. Later, 35 grams of this cow dung was added to 10 liters of water and churned. This mixture was sprinkled over 1 acre of land to convert it into a green and fertile field. Earlier, there were the hot and cold methods of converting cattle dung into manure. But today, both manure and gobar gas can be produced in the same plant. In India, dung cakes are burnt for fuel. Ash obtained thus is scattered in dirty places and in fields to act as an insecticide. Also, it's a common practice in the villages to wash hands and vessels with this ash. This is not a very profitable practice because by burning the dung, it loses many of its useful properties. The best use of cattle dung is to convert it into gobar gas and manure. This can be obtained by way of the gobar gas plants. The gas obtained thus burns smokelessly with a blue flame in the presence of oxygen. Gobar gas is more efficient than other solid fuels, for it takes less time to prepare meals with the heat energy produced by gobar gas. Gobar gas has 55 to 70% of methane, 30 to 45% of carbon dioxide, while hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon monoxide plus sulfur dioxide constitute 1 to 2%. If we cast a glance at some comparative figures, we discover several amazing facts. For example, 1 cubic meter gas can be obtained from 25 kilograms of fresh cattle dung. The heat energy generated from it is equivalent to that generated by burning 0.62 liters of kerosene or 3.5 kilograms of firewood or 2.5 kilograms of charcoal or 4.7 kilowatt hour of electric energy or 0.43 kilogram liquid petroleum gas. The manure obtained after extracting the biogas contains 1.5% nitrogen, 0.4% phosphorus and 2.2% potash. Humus is also present in it in sufficient quantities. These elements are double the amount of what is found in ordinary manure or compost. According to the Department of Science and Technology, 25 crore cattle in the country produce 86 crore tons of fresh cattle dung per year. This can be used to produce 4,000 crore cubic meters of gobar gas. Even after extracting the gas, 50 lakh tons of natural fertilizer is available per year. For the past 10 to 15 years, central and state governments are offering special incentives to encourage the setting up of small biogas plants. According to the latest statistics made available by the Ministry of Non-Conventional Energy, 27 lakh family-type biogas plants and 2,400 community biogas plants have been set up so far.
This gas can be put to several other uses too. Biogas pumps can easily replace electric, petrol or diesel-driven pumps for irrigation purposes. Such pumps are easily available in the market. Streets can also be illuminated by gobar gas lamps. Electricity can also be generated by gobar gas with the help of an engine and generator. This can be a step closer to electrifying the villages. This is a reality in Pura Gaon, a village 110 kilometers from Bangalore. 45 kilometers from Ahmedabad, Khadia Gaon has set out on road to progress since it started using electricity generated by gobar gas.
Chemicals like menthol, ammonia, phenol, indole, formalin, as well as nitrogen, phosphoric acid and potash are present in cow dung. This is why certain methods of medical treatment recommend the cow dung for its curative powers. The villagers use cattle dung to build their kacha houses. Soil, grass, leaves, hay and cattle dung are kneaded together and used to build the walls. The walls and the floors are smoothed down with cattle dung. The cattle dung cakes made from the dung of cows or oxen is used to light the sacred flame into which the sacrificial offerings are put in order to purify the atmosphere during religious ceremonies. It also finds place in the cultural context. The folk festival of Sanja is observed in the Malwa region of Madhya Pradesh. At this time, the outer walls of the houses are given a coat of cow dung and decorated with figures made of cow dung. This tradition is observed because of the belief that cattle dung is economically of great value to man. So, it is accepted without doubt that cattle dung is a very useful and advantageous thing. But is it being used scientifically? The practice of tying animals on roadsides and letting the dung accumulate in a malodorous heap is an unpleasant sight.
It's very common everywhere in India, but it is very harmful to the environment because in absence of oxygen in the inner layers of these heaps form the methane gas, which is coming to the environment, and this methane gas is known as the greenhouse gas, which is directly affecting the temperature rise of this environment. Therefore, it is suggested that one should not throw this dung into the open fields or open places, but it should be used in a well-known scientific manner. You can use the pits to collect this dung and cover it with the mud so that no methane is coming to the environment. The second technology, which is more feasible and beneficial to all the farmers, is known as the biogas. This biogas technology gives you the fuel in terms of the gas and also the manure, which is rich in nitrogen.
Cattle dung can only become an aid to progress if the animals are taken care of properly. Healthy animals provide dung of better quality. In order to avoid wastage, well-planned cattle sheds should be constructed. India's development can only be brought about by the development of her villages, and for this, the means that are easily available there are the most effective. Then how about using cattle dung in the fields for better yields and in the villages as an energy source and thereby ensure the progress of our nation?